Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Rest is Entertainment Questions episode.
Questions and Answers edition. I'm Richard Osman.
And I'm Marina Hyde.
Yeah. Maybe we should write it down.
Yeah. Could you hold a big cue?
No.
There are some actors actually who just have to have the words written on cue cards and just be held like that for them.
I never use autocue, obviously, because of my eyesight.
Yeah.
I genuinely think you should never use autocue if you can avoid it. So otherwise you just say the same thing. Because, for example, I don't think you've ever used the exact same form of words twice to
mess up the intro.
To open an episode.
And you wait till I do a top three, which I'm going to count down in, is it descending order?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
you're going to, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Yeah. I'm not going to mess it up this week.
I saw a good comment this week, which is please no more top threes, and right underneath it was please can we have more top threes?
Right.
And there you go. And if you want
very much the BBC's Middle Eastern coverage here.
Yes, exactly. If you want a definition of Twitter, it is that. Can I ask you a question that comes in from Aid Bond? Aid Bond. It sounds like a henchman to 007. Aid asks, what is the most expensive sport event to cover for TV? That's a nice, concise question.
It is. It is, and I think it's got a very simple answer, but it's quite a long answer, and we can talk about other things as well. And we'll come back to what the actual answer is. The answer is the Olympics, because there are so many events. I think that if you just shot the events, there's 3,800 hours of television.
Wow. Because
obviously there are so many different events that's happening all the time, mostly simultaneously. I've also talked to someone who's very knowledgeable about this. Other expensive events we'll discuss first. Formula One, you need to cover about 6 km of track. Mm-hmm. So there's a complicated subcut system. So the director might have to cover the battle for fourth place. This is really difficult to get it all right, and obviously going quite fast.
Yeah, a huge amount of different cameras is the thing. Yeah,
different cameras. Golf, obviously, the physical scale of the area on which you're playing. Tour de France.
Oh my God,
that's quite big.
Isn't it just?
You never know where the exact accident's going to be that's going to become clear. I mean, the Champions League, a big Champions League game, the most expensive camera. Those, and actually, they have them at the cricket now as well. Those cameras that are on the 4 wires that goes the sort of aerial camera, and you can see, and someone's operating that by remote. Now that's 6 figures just to get that camera in, but people love the shots that come from that. The boat race actually is very expensive.
It's worth every penny.
Yeah, quite. It's wireless, done wirelessly, and the challenge of getting the pictures back from boats, helicopters, 4 miles of river, and still getting the swearing of the coxes. Yes. That's quite a big.
The swearing of the coxes.
The swearing of the coxes. Snooker, very cheap.
Yeah, who'd have thought?
But so if going back to the Olympics, because I think they're coming up, and it's just such an interesting. So much innovation happens when a big thing like this comes along, and you're working towards it, and you're thinking back out from a football tournament or whatever. But particularly in Olympics. It's a huge time for innovation in the shooting techniques. And so what we can expect this year that is different, even things like TikTok are going to have an Olympics hub, things that just didn't happen before. So everything will be, it's always the same but different. And it's always a huge catalyst for new stuff. NBC is part, in America, they do have the rights. They're partnering with creators. But they've also, NBC have got one of their legendary broadcasters who's now no longer with us. They have got an AI of him doing some highlights packages. I know.
Oh, who's that?
See, it's Al Michaels. He's a legendary. And they've got an AI of him. Are
you sure it says AI and it doesn't just say Al?
Yeah, no. You're right. It could be actually just quite a lo-fi version of this.
Yeah, Al is turning up.
Some of the events will be done in 8K for various reasons and broadcasters.
In 8K?
Yeah, I know, 8K.
Do you know what that means?
Yes, I do actually, because someone wrote a joke about it in our show and I didn't know what it meant beforehand.
Really? What is 8K?
4K is, sort of very ultra-high definition. 8K, there are some things in 8K that's sort of extreme amount of pixels.
I love the fact you said you knew what it meant. And
it means very, 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 very high definition.
Okay.
But of which there could be no need, and most people's technology wouldn't be able to even show it back to them. So what on earth is the point?
And is it going to go higher than 8K? Is it like Gillette and their razors?
Yeah. Oh, it's like they're 40 blades. Yeah.
Is it going to be like 400K?
Well, actually, as I said before, it's possible that UHD is now on the way out because there are things that deliver the same or different, colours or depth of field that people think. Actually, most people, unless you've got a giant screen to show this on, in which case you see, oh my God, that's a very clear picture on a giant screen, then 8K is kind of irrelevant. But there will be giant screens showing lots of the Olympics. There's going to do vertical, finally people have caved, vertical video for phones because people don't hold their phone to the side. Yeah, so there'll be some of that. But you know that effect that they have in the Matrix films, which was their sort of, the Wachowskis did that thing where it's called flow-mo, and they put so many cameras around one point. And do you remember you could sort of spin the way around,
like
the suspended. It's really weird. I remember seeing that in The Matrix and thinking, oh my God, that's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And honestly, 3 years later, I saw it in a Centre Parks advert. But that's that's what innovation is. Now, they're saying that for the first time this Olympics, it's possible that you'll be able to do that this time.
Wow.
And we'll be able to, and they're going to have, very, very cinematic lenses that give you much better depth of field. So the coverage is always kind of revolutionary, and it will be exciting to watch. So sorry, that's a rather long answer, but as I say, going back to Central Point, I think just the events are 3,800 hours of television. So that is the most, and they're in places like, you've got the road race with the bikes, or you've got all the rowing events. They're in places that often are outside, might not have no cameras. You can have no sort of setups before. It's very, very, it's by far the most technical and expensive.
Yeah, and the funding of that is possible because the Olympics is worldwide, and those pictures are shared by an awful lot of channels. So as you say, the various channels in different countries will have their own local bits and bobs and VTs they're doing, but the actual coverage you're getting, the actual live coverage, is a shared cost between people.
The IOC gets something like 4.5 or 5 billion for the cover.
It's like a lot
for the TV rights.
But I do think it's a fascinating point that I think we slightly take the coverage of sports for granted, and the incredible people you have who are doing that, who are thinking all the time, how do we make this better? How do we make it more immersive? How do we get people inside the action a little bit more?
And I know I'll get money because it's the Olympics, so here's my moment to say,
exactly
please, can we try this time? So look for the innovations.
Yeah, so the Olympics is essentially like the Olympics, but for camera operators as well, because they're like only once every 4 years. This is what we train for. This is what we work for. This is our one big opportunity. And so while you're watching incredible sporting endeavour, you're also watching incredible technical endeavour. By the way, we're just talking about the cost of covering an event there, not the rights to events and blah, 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 which is a whole different question.
Definitely a long one to unpack.
Isn't it wonderful how cheap snooker is to make?
Yeah.
I mean, even that occasionally you get a slightly different thing. They do now have a camera that hovers over the table, so you can properly look down on the balls. But if you change the way that snooker is made, people would absolutely
don't innovate.
Lose out. Yeah.
Innovate slightly, but only very little.
Yeah. Or in fact, actually, don't innovate.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Sky.
Now, Richard, you have a brother.
I do.
The wonderful Matt Osman from Suede.
Why do you ask?
Would you describe yourselves as close?
Yes, different industries, but yeah, we love each other.
You sound closer than the two brothers in the new Sky original, Mr Bigstuff. Stars Danny Dyer as Lee,
please.
An alpha male with a prescription drug addiction, as well as a biscuit tin full of their dad's ashes. Also, yes, please. And Ryan Sampson as Glenn, a nervy perfectionist and carpet salesman striving to live the suburban ideal with his fiancée. Glenn's life is very peaceful and exactly how he likes it until his brother comes crashing into their lives, and it's not long before their perfect lives start to unravel faster than the weave of a cheap carpet. Ryan Sampson also wrote the series. He's an absolutely fantastic comic actor. He was in Plebs and, of course, Brassic, another Sky comedy.
All episodes available to watch now, only on Sky.
Oh, I love this one. Encores from Claire says, why are there encores at concerts? And what do artists do while they're waiting to come back on stage? It's usually obvious that there's more to come, so why the drama?
Yes, why the drama? I mean, it is pure. All it is drama, and it goes back to opera, which is where they first had it. They would always have an aria in their back pockets, or an aria that they were going to repeat, and so everyone would shout encore and brava, and back they would shuffle on and do another one. And so it's one of those things where there isn't a clever answer other than it's what people have always done, and audiences love it, and it's kind of fun for bands and
to watch them beg for it.
Yes, exactly, and that's what they always leave their biggest song because the worst, you don't want to walk off and people go, I think I'm done. They played Mr Brightside. Yeah, let's beat the traffic. And so bands,
we'll do one of our new. Some of our new stuff.
Yeah.
One of our new ones.
Exactly. And some bands will do 4 or 5 encores and it goes on forever. And that, to me, I'm out by that point. Do one encore. You can do a maximum of 3. Yeah, 2 I think is sweet spot.
Yeah.
1 is classy. 1 classy, 2 sweet spot, 3, come on guys. This isn't encore. This is like a second half of the concert. I could have gone and, got a drink. I spoke to my brother about what they actually do while they're waiting for that encore, and his answer will shock you. He says, "I have a drink or a fag." He said, they just go side the stage, have a ciggy, just wait for the, boom, 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 because you haven't played trash yet, so we know you're coming back. And once he's finished his fag, he'll amble on. The place goes crazy. Then Brett comes on. He's had 2 fags, and away they go. But it's it's drama that people love. We all love it. It's because you get to sort of go, oh my God, that was incredible, and then you go, are you kidding me? They're coming back, and we're still such children because we know, of course, we know they're coming back, of course. But there's a bit of us that's going, but what if they didn't like Coventry this evening? What if they're in a mood and they're not going to come back? Come on, guys, come back on, play the beautiful ones. So there's a tiny bit in our brain that goes, but what if they don't come out? And when they do, that roar is genuine. It's such a weird thing, isn't it? We all kid ourselves that we're all part of that pantomime, and we all enjoy it. The other thing do you know what? Funnily enough, when I said to my brother, if I'm allowed to ask my own question, I have my own question, because he said, oh, go off and have a drink and have a ciggy. I said, does anyone ever need the loo during a gig?
Yeah.
Right, and if you're in a band, do you ever need the loo during a gig? Because, again, you watch the snooker, they're nipping off for a wee every frame.
Yeah.
And he said, no, never happened. He said, you're so dehydrated anyway up there. Everyone's sweating so much. He said, I've never, ever, ever needed to go to the loo during a gig. And it's the same on TV shows. If you have a very, very long record, I've never had to go for a wee during a TV show. It's one of my proudest claims to fame. Stick that in the Daily Express. And I did a 9-hour election show once without going to the loo. But yeah, if ever during a show, if you go like 2.5 hours and people go, I actually need the loo, and like the audience is like, oh my God, really? Have we got to have? And then everyone, you just think, oh, please turn your mic off.
One of the things that some Taylor Swift fans were saying was that they were going to wear nappies, so they didn't have to miss any of the 3 1/4 hour set.
Wow. I
don't know whether that occurred. I did go out in the middle of the set, so I just want to say that I was not one of the diapered fans.
You went. It's quite nice to go out during. You think, oh God, just 3.5 hours is too long for a gig, by the way.
No queue, by the way.
But was there not? No, oh my God, that's great.
None of the ladies wanted to miss it. So,
And then I also asked, is the encore always the same? Is it different encore in different countries? And Matt said, absolutely. He says certain bands know that they have songs that are bigger in certain territories than others, and so if you're in Australia, you play that song last. If you're in Malaysia, you play that song last. He said you can even, if you're in a country you've not really been in before, you can look at your Spotify stats and you can find out exactly which song people respond to in that country. So yeah, if you're in the UK, you know exactly what you're playing, but in different countries you play different encores. But I think it's one of those lovely things that makes no sense, that we all know about, we're all complicit in, and yet we all still do, and everyone
we all suspend our disbelief and love
still
it.
Loves,
I love
exactly.
that. Well, that's what it is. That's performance.
It's pantomime, really, isn't it? I have a question for you, Marina, from Alice Pictall. Thank you, Alice. She asks, I have a question about media training. Oh, yes, please. Presumably at some early point in your career as a celeb, you'll slip up in an interview and someone will pack you off to media training. What are the core lessons that you would learn in Media Training 101?
They teach you to be boring. Chris Woakes, the cricketer, was being interviewed by the BBC, and he was asked for his views on Jofra Archer, who was born in Barbados, being added to the World Cup squad. And he said, he was asked if it was fair that had occurred. And he said, fair's probably not the right word. Wouldn't be fair morally, but at the same time, it's the nature of international sport. Now, then we cut forward to Chris Woakes, which you can still see on Twitter, him saying, I'm not sure this is the exact context for all these stories.
Yes.
Because all these stories came out saying, it would not be fair morally, says Chris Woakes, for Jofra Archer to play for England. It wouldn't be fair. All of this thing. Yeah. He's repeated the word fair.
Yeah.
He's also added the word morally. And he's now in a terrible pickle. It's not his fault, by the way, and I get totally get, and he's trying to, and you're now doing a rearguard action where you're telling people to. So what they're trying to say to you is, don't say those certain words. They're trying to, as I say, again, they're trying to make you boring. Yeah. You're just trying to sort of take all the heat out of every question.
Should we finish with a very quick top 3?
Please, let's.
Just to, as a palate cleanser.
You've given me a long run up.
Okay, this is from David S. Top 3 Simpsons cameos.
Oh, okay.
Number 2.
I have got some views. I don't think you can't count something. No, you can't count something like Kelsey Grammer being Sideshow Bob. That's a returning character.
Yeah, returning character.
I generally hate the ones where celebrities play themselves. Even though I absolutely love The Simpsons, completely love The Simpsons, I generally hate the ones where they play themselves. There's a really dark one actually where he doesn't play himself. Well, he does. Is Michael Jackson. That's one of the creepiest ones. Okay. He's like this really creepy, overweight patient in a psychiatric hospital. Yeah. He's called Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
But that's a very odd one. So that's not in my top 3. But in my top 3 there's one where they play themselves. At 3,
yes,
Richard,
that's good.
Is Meryl Streep plays Reverend Lovejoy's daughter Jessica, and she's worse than Bart.
Yeah.
And she's first of all what can't Meryl do? Her voice is so high. She's like it's a really good cameo. She's worse than Bart. Bart obviously just falls her completely. So I love that one. At number 2, oh my God, I'm doing this. Yeah. It hasn't gone wrong yet. Leonard Nimoy opening the monorail.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
And he is obviously playing himself.
And that's an incredible episode.
And it isn't. The monorail episode is obviously an epic one. Yeah. At number 1, oh my God, I've done this. But this is one of my. This honestly makes me cry. This cameo almost every time I see it. Is not credited. He's not credited as Dustin Hoffman, but Dustin Hoffman plays Lisa's supply teacher, Mr Bergstrom.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, it's so and she sort of she doesn't fall in love with him. She adores him.
Yeah.
And he has to go because supply teachers move on, like the littlest hobo, and he hands her a note which she thinks is going to explain everything. And when as the train's pulling out of the station, and she opens the note, and it just says, "You are Lisa Simpson," and it gets me. I mean, it's absolutely it's one of the great. And he's actually credited as Sam Ettick,
really,
which we can only speculate on why he chose that. But there was some sort of contractual reason why he couldn't be credited Dustin Hoffman, and it's relatively early in the Simpsons, which is now obviously been going on for 450 years. But so that's my favourite.
That was an exemplary top 3.
And when I know it'll never happen again, but know the voice, and and then they're not credited. There's something much more cool than someone just oh look, Rupert Murdoch's playing Rupert Murdoch, which he has done on a couple of occasions.
And the lovely thing that happened last week, again another one of those examples of things in The Simpsons that come true, like they predicted President Trump, is there's the lovely episode where Homer goes on tour with the Smashing Pumpkins, and Cypress Hill are playing, and they accidentally book the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, possibly while high, and they a couple of weeks ago actually played live with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra because so many people who watched The Simpsons had asked them over the years. So that would be my favourite. Great, a perfectly executed top 3.
I've got to have a lie down. Don't worry, normal service will resume next week, and for that, do please keep sending your questions in order for normal service to resume. The rest is entertainment@gmail.com.
And we will see you next Tuesday for a regular episode.
See you next Tuesday.